I just want you all to be aware that I am filming on a wooden stool because Gizmo has taken the desk chair and I just don't have it in me to move him. I just don't have it in me. So if I seem uncomfortable, it's because I am sat on, sorry, the lighting is really bad. I am sat on this while Gizmo is enjoying the desk chair. So that's how we're starting this video off. Hello, lovelies. It has been a little while since I last sat down and spoke to you guys. How are you? I really hope you're well. I really hope you are having the coziest autumnal season, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, I hope you're having the best spring. I hope the flowers are flourishing and all the beautiful babies are being born animal wise and I guess human wise as well. But if you haven't got one already, please grab yourself a nice beverage of some kind. I've got myself a biscuit brew because I am going to be chatting your ear off a little bit. If you couldn't tell from the title, this is not a reading blog, this is not a slow reader diaries. I have just got some thoughts and feelings that I feel like I need to just share and get off my chest before I get back into creating reading vlogs and reading content. I mean, this is still reading content because I'm talking about reading. But yeah, I hope you're open to staying with me for a little bit and hearing me just chit chat while I drink tea. Oh, it's just next level, a biscuit brew. It really is just next level. So first things first, I am looking a little different. The hair has changed. We've chopped a bunch of it off and we've dyed it ginger-esque. Was it ginger in the last video? I can't quite remember. I think it was. We've chopped it off now as well. So, and I'm wearing my Forever Bookish sweatshirt because it is one of my favorite sweatshirts and I thought it was very, very fitting. We've got our fringe cut back in. So we're feeling a little bit more like ourselves today, I must admit. But where is my... I did write down some like pointers for this video because I did not want to get lost and get sidetracked because I tend to do that a lot. No, we're not surprised in the slightest that I get sidetracked and lose... Oh my god, gears, I could really use the chair. As you can tell possibly from the title, I am titling this video Dear Readers. I'm kind of having this as an open letter to my fellow readers of Booktube, not just mostly Booktube because that's kind of where I am most present, but also like Bookstagram, I guess also BookTok, even though I don't use BookTok. There are just some thoughts and feelings that I wanted to just get out. If you hadn't noticed or didn't realize, I did take a bit of a break. I haven't uploaded in about a month, and that wasn't intentional. And I did have a slow reader diaries kind of filmed and I'd started editing. But I'd noticed as I was editing the video, I could just tell that my heart wasn't in it, not just with the video, but I guess my reading experience. And I want to talk about that a little bit because I feel like if I just ignore it, I'm going to get myself into a reading slump, and that is so not what I want at all. So, I wanted to start off this video by saying or explaining why I read and why I love to read, because we're all here for the same thing, right? We're all here to read a good book. And the reason why I love reading is the same reason why I love gaming. It is a form of escapism. It gets me out of reality and into a completely different world where I can just escape my problems, my everyday life. It just gives me a chance to breathe, basically. I feel like I can breathe when I read. That's why I love it. It's why I've always loved it. I've loved it ever since I was a child. I've loved reading. I've grown up reading books. I've grown up appreciating books, and it's just always been something I've gone back to in times of need, in times of feeling lost, and also when I've been looking for companionship as well. You know, when you read a good book and you get invested in the story and the characters, sometimes those characters just feel so real. They feel like real people that I know through and through, and to an extent, they know me too. So reading is just so immersive. You know, I think that's just the best way to describe it. Describe it? Describe it. It's such an immersive experience, and especially, don't mind me just playing with my fringe, especially like during the pandemic and post pandemic, immersion and escapism are, I think, very large elements a lot of us are trying to find and are trying to. Oh, this is going to be such a heavily edited video because this is all just coming off the dome, but I love to read, and those are the reasons why I love to read. One of the reasons why I started the Slow Reader Diaries is because I wanted to make sure I didn't lose my love and my passion for reading, because I could feel myself getting caught up in the speed reading side of the book community. And there are people churning out 20 books a month, and that's great and everything for them, and it's so impressive. I am thoroughly impressed by people that can read over 10 books in a month. It's crazy, and it's great, especially if that's how they enjoy reading, and if they fully gain, you know, everything from the book in that short amount of time. That's brilliant for them. But for me, I cannot read that quickly. I'm dyslexic. It takes me longer to process a book. And if I try and force myself into speed reading a book, I feel like I don't actually read the book. I feel like you could then ask me a bunch of questions about the book, about the characters, the story, the plot, the themes. And I don't think I would be able to tell you much at all because my brain hasn't retained that information. And even though I can really enjoy a book during that speed reading time, walking away from the book, I feel like I don't know it. I don't know the characters, I don't know the world, and I didn't fully immerse myself into it. And therefore, I didn't fully enjoy it. And I could feel myself getting into that trap of contradicting myself, of filming slow reader diary vlogs, but then feeling bad or kind of shaming myself for not having more books in a vlog, and comparing myself to other book content creators that are reading 3 to 5 books in a vlog. Again, I was contradicting myself. My whole reason for creating the Slow Reader Diaries was to promote slow reading, and was to romanticize slow reading, and was to kind of share with you and with other people that it's okay to be a slow reader. It's okay to not churn out 12, 15, 20 books in a month. You're still a valid reader, and your thoughts and opinions are still just as valid. But I guess the issue with content creation is that it is constant, and you need to keep on top of it. And if you feel like you falter or fall behind, then you're no longer a favorite in the algorithm. People will stop watching your content, etc., etc. I don't make content for money or to pursue it as a career. I don't want to be a full-time content creator. That is not my dream. That is not my goal. That is not why I do this. I create content because it has been a hobby and a passion of mine for going over 10 years now. It is a way for me to have passion projects, and it was also a way for me to connect with other people that have the same hobbies and interests as me. And when I first joined the book community 10 years ago, even the idea of being a content creator wasn't really a thing. We were just a community of people that shared this hobby and had this love, and because some of us were in different time zones and in different countries, the only way we could discuss our opinions and share our thoughts and feelings was through creating videos. I remember when I first started creating YouTube videos, you could leave video responses in the comments. So there would be like, you could reply to somebody's video with your own video and have a literal conversation with each other. And that is why I started to create content, and that is why I started to make videos. I'm a yapper. Okay, I've already been yapping for 12 minutes and I've got like 6 other bullet points to go through. I'm a yapper and I love chatting to people, especially to people that share interests with me. So the commercialization, if that's the right word, and the monetization of social media and content creation. It's hard to get into content creation now without that being an element of it, because so many people are trying to pursue it as a career. Those of us, and I think the lesser of us, that are just doing it just to have a fun, creative time, it's as if we're not seen as serious by the algorithm, by the platform we're creating content on, because we're not chasing the capitalist monitor. I can't say that word. The money. Because we're not chasing the money, we're not taken seriously. Our content isn't taken seriously, and therefore it's not promoted, it's not pushed, it's not favored through the algorithm, etc., etc. I've just been feeling that recently. I've been feeling that kind of neglect from the powers that be. And I was letting it get to me because I was seeing my value in that. I was deciding that instead of, seeing my value in the wonderful comments that I was getting, the fact that people were actively thumbs upping and liking my videos and my content. I, of course, loved and appreciated it, but I was allowing that side of my content creation be the second priority rather than the first. And the first priority was slowly starting to be the numbers, the views. When's the next milestone I can hit so I could start monetizing my videos? Like, that is the thoughts I was starting to have. And I went through a very similar cycle a few years ago when I was creating gaming content. And I got myself into a pretty decent spot when it came to my gaming content. I was monetized, I was getting like partnership deals, I was in a really good place with it, and I was on the up. But the numbers just took over, and instead of actually sitting and playing a game and allowing myself to be immersed into the game and enjoy it, I was too busy thinking about the fact that, is my phone angled right so you can see the screen while I'm also, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, playing the game. I would play like a minute of a game just to get footage of me playing a game, and then I would stop, save the game, and then focus on the video, on the content and the editing of the content and getting the content uploaded, and etc., etc. My whole reason for starting the content creation just went completely out the window, and my whole love and joy for the hobby went with it. And I told myself when I started making content again, I was not going to let myself get into that same position. I was not going to let the numbers and the algorithm and the platforms push for money get the better of me and be my motivation, because that is not my motivation. My motivation is to share my love for this hobby that I have. And in this context, it's reading. And the last couple of books that I read, I feel like I would have gotten so much more enjoyment out of them if I didn't have that voice in the back of my head of, oh, I really should be filming this right now. I'm currently sat in bed reading, but I'm not filming the progress. I'm not getting any B-roll for a vlog. That constant noise at the back of my head meant that I couldn't fully immerse into the book I was reading. I will do like a wrap up of the books I've recently read. Like I said, I did have a slow reading slow reader diaries in the process, and I was talking about some of the books I was reading in that, but I don't think I'm going to upload it because I could just see it in me that my enthusiasm just wasn't quite real. That's just too good. Yeah, it wasn't quite real, and it was quite sad to watch, really. And that's when I knew, like, when I started to edit this video, not this video, when I started to edit that video, that's how I knew that I was like, okay, I need to take a break. I need to take a step back. I need to remind myself why I'm doing this in the first place. I kind of became quite reflective on not just why I was reading, but what I was reading as well. And I was kind of looking back on the books I recently read, and I will forever be a fantasy girl. I love fantasy to my core, purely, like I say, because I don't think you can get a better form of escapism. You're literally being transported to a different realm, to a different planet, to a different world. And I just don't think you can get that replicated in any other genre apart from sci-fi, maybe. But like, even like historical books, they're set in our world. So fantasy for me is like ultimate escapism. But with the rise of romantasy, how do I explain this? I feel like I slipped into thinking that romantasy equaled fantasy. And this has been a massive discussion in the community for years. Like, what is a fantasy romance? What is a romantasy? Etc. etc. Like, what is the difference, And I kind of fell into the trap of romantasy and thinking romantasy was the new fantasy, and every fantasy out there has to have romance in it, otherwise it's not a not that it's not a fantasy, but like, I don't know, I was just falling into this trap of thinking romantasy was the new pinnacle. It's the best genre out there, everybody's loving it. If you're not loving romantasy, then you're the problem, not the genre, etc. etc. And it's not that I don't like romantasy, and I think this is something I touched upon when I read The Hurricane Wars. I need a plot. I need the political intrigue. I need the bones to be more than a romance. And I think I also spoke about this a lot when I read Fathom Folk as well by Eliza Chan. I'll talk about it in a reading wrap up, but I have recently read The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is a very well-known romantasy book. And I did write a review on my Instagram. So if you're curious about more in-depth thoughts, you can obviously wait for the wrap up or go check out my review on Instagram. But it's a book where I can see why it's so loved, and I had such a fun time reading it. I plan to finish the series and read more Carissa Broadbent 100%. I feel like it's a story I've read before, and I know Sarah has basically the same opinion as me. Romantasy now just feels like a copy and paste of each other, and I feel like when I was reading The Serpent and the Wings of Night, it just did not feel original to me. I just felt like I was reading something I'd read 10 times before. And that was such a shame because I loved the writing. I thought the writing was spectacular. And this is why I do plan to continue to read more of the author's work, because I think she's a very, very talented writer. But the story itself just had no originality for me. And another thing that's kind of happened, I would say, off of the back of ACOTAR is the romanticization. I'm struggling with words today, but the romanticization of mythical creatures, paranormal creatures, especially in dark romance and dark fantasy and dark romantasy. A lot of, if not all of the love interests are some sort of other being, i.e. non-human. Paranormal romance and fantasy romance isn't a new genre. Like, look at Twilight. Twilight is, I think, was it the 20th anniversary it's just celebrated or something like that. It's not a new genre, but I think the way these non-humans are being humanized to then be able to make the romance, let's just say it, filthier more smutty. For me, taking away from the otherworldliness of the book, of the character, which is to me supposed to be the whole point of the book. So, my whole point about rambling about romantasy as a genre is because when I was reflecting on some of the recent reads that I had, my most recent 5 stars at 4.75 stars weren't even romantasies. It was Where the Crawdad Sings and Piranesi. And Piranesi, even though it is classed as a fantasy, in my head, it's the least fantasy of fantasy. Like when I think fantasy, I do not think of Piranesi. I can't even describe Piranesi to you. If you haven't read it, it's phenomenal. Please go read it. But I don't like to coin it in the fantasy genre because I just don't think it's fantasy. Not the fantasy that I consider fantasy, anyways. Because in Piranesi, we do have the real world. You know, we are in a different world, but we're also not. You know, we're not completely escaping the real world. And Where the Crawdad Sings is not a fantasy in the slightest. It's a historical. Where the Crawdad Sings is a mishmash. It's a historical murder mystery, coming of age, literary fiction. It is a mishmash, and it's also a love letter to nature. It's a mishmash, and it was executed phenomenally. And it's just got me thinking that when I look at my bookshelves and I'm seeing that 90% of it is fantasy and I'm seeing romantasy creep in there, part of me is like, am I actually reading for the enjoyment or am I reading for the approval? Do you know what I mean? Like, am I reading these books so I have the approval of the community because it's been on I've read it, guys. It's on my read list. And even if I didn't like it, like, I've read it and I'm one of the girlies that have read it. Do you know what I mean? And I'm feeling that FOMO of not reading popular books. But then when I read the current popular books, which at the moment is so dominated by the romantasy genre, and I'm not enjoying them as much as I thought I would or thought I should, I'm kind of like doubting me as a reader. Like, am I not reading correctly? Am I not doing this right? And then it made me realize there's no right or wrong way to read. This isn't like a tick box where you have to do things in a certain order and in a correct way. And if you do it that way, then you are a real reader. Congratulations, here's your real reader award. I was just losing sight of that. I feel like I haven't fully been appreciating the books I've been reading, specifically the last couple. I honestly think if I wasn't in the mindset that I was in while I was reading Serpent of the Wings of Night, I actually think I'd enjoy it much, much more, despite the very kind of carbon copy feel that it has. I am so intrigued by the world that Chris Broadbent has created. It was just the story. The story was just so samey and unoriginal, but I feel like I'm kind of going in circles with that. I kind of needed to take a step back from creating reading content because I needed to reconnect with reading. And in doing that as well, not only did I reconnect with reading, I reconnected with my other hobby, which is gaming. I have gotten back into creating gaming content. My gaming channel is always linked below. If you're into cozy gaming, please go check it out. It's gaming and creating content, again, other passions and hobbies of mine that I love and I've been loving for years. Taking that pressure away of having to have a camera on constantly, because the gaming content I create, I don't have a face cam. It's the very, very reflective of slow reader diaries. I do like long plays and kind of slow, cozy gameplays. I mean, I wouldn't consider my Breath of the Wild series like slow paced or cozy because that game is hectic to me. I say to me, other people probably find it very cozy and slow paced. I feel like I'm in the trenches with that game. But anyway, that's not the point of this video. My point being is taking the step back that I did allowed myself to reappreciate why I read. And the book that I then picked up next, I have been absorbing and taking in and appreciating so much more. And it's not a big book, it's not a long book, but I have been enjoying it so much more because I haven't had that pressure of feeling like I've needed to give constant reading updates to a camera, having to constantly feel like I have to articulate how I'm feeling about the book and my thoughts and opinions. I've just been able to read it and enjoy it, and it's been great. The book I'm currently reading is A Dark and Drowning Tide by Alison Saft. I am loving this book so much, and I think I picked this up. I can't remember if this was in the footage that I've decided to not upload or not, but basically, I picked this up purely on the cover and the edges. They're beautiful. And then I realized it's by Alison Saft, who wrote Wings of Starlight, which is the Queen Clarion from the Tinkerbell universe, like origin story. And I really loved the writing in that book. So I knew I was going to love the writing in this book. And lo and behold, I am loving it. I was correct. I have just been enjoying it on a whole nother level. And that's because I've allowed myself to enjoy it on a whole nother level and to take that pressure away. Another thing I do just want to quickly touch upon when it comes to content creation is it is hard to keep up with content creation when it's not your full-time job. A lot of us that don't earn from content creation are obviously got other jobs because we have bills to pay and mouths to feed. And I am very lucky to be in a position where I work part-time. I work between 20 to 30 hours a week, ranging from 3 to 4 days a week, sometimes 5 days a week. Granted, they're not necessarily all full days, but at the moment, especially with the time of year that it is and the fact that I work in retail, most of them are full days, and I'm doing quite a bit of overtime, which I am so thankful for and so grateful for. But that does mean that the content creation and my hobbies has to sometimes take a bit of a back seat because I need to prioritize going to work and earning money so I can live my life. There are people out there that have full-time jobs. They work 40 plus hours a week while also trying to create online content because it's something they love and enjoy, or even if they may be getting another income from it, which is amazing. But it's hard. It's really hard trying to juggle and balance working and then creating content, because you're not just filming it, you're then editing it and then creating the thumbnail and then having to wait for the export to do its thing and then waiting for it to upload. It's not just like the 30-minute video you watch. There's so many more hours that go into it behind the scenes that if you don't create content yourself, you may not fully, understand, which is fine. But when I do a full day at work, for example, I usually work 10 a.m. till 7 p.m. and it takes me at least an hour, sometimes more, to get home. By the time I get home, I am knackered, I'm tired, and all I want to do is take my makeup off and get into bed. The last thing I want to do is then record my feelings of the book that I read for 20 minutes on my train journey. Do you know what I mean? I guess my whole point of this is to say that the reason I needed to take the step back is because I needed to realize why I started this in the first place, why I love reading, and why I love this community. Something I am going to do is I'm going to leave a bunch of creators down below that I love and adore, not just because they make amazing content and I love their videos, but also they're people that I've noticed that are so active in their community and they're so caring and loving and kind, and you can see that they strive to comment on every single comment in their comment section, or even just give it a heart so the person knows that it's been read and recognized. To me, that means so much as someone who not only makes content but absorbs watches content. When I leave a comment on a video, the kind of the happiness I feel when I get the notification that I've had a reply, or the author hearted this comment, it just makes me feel seen and it makes me feel appreciated. as a viewer. That's another reason why I love making and why I started making content in the first place. It's to interact, it's to share thoughts and feelings and talk to like-minded people and get recommendations, find new books to read, etc., etc., and find new other creators who have similar reading tastes or completely different reading tastes. I don't know if I actually finished my thought process when it came to my reading tastes. But my just in case I didn't, my whole reason about rambling about Romantasy and then reading Piranesi and Where the Crawdads Sing, my point there was I felt like I was falling into a trap of reading books that I thought I should read rather than reading books that I want to read / think I would enjoy. Reading lots of romantasy or romance fantasy, I feel like I was pushing aside books and not reading books that are outside of that genre that I could potentially love. That was my point. Again, apologies if I didn't clarify that before, but I'm clarifying that now. And I'm sorry if I keep looking to the side, that's where my notes are for this video. I am trying to remind myself to keep looking back at you. I'm sorry if this video has been a bit of a mishmash. This was definitely a bit of a thought dump video. I tried to give it some structure. I don't think it worked very well. I would love to know your thoughts and feelings and opinions about content creation. It doesn't have to necessarily be like bookish reading content, just content creation in general. I would love to know why you read. Why do you read and why do you love to read? Because your reason may be different to mine and I would love to know. But yeah, I feel like that's everything I wanted to say. I feel like this is just a video I needed to make for me, just to get my thoughts and feelings out there. Not necessarily out into the world, but just out of me. I also hope maybe that if any of you have been feeling a similar way, this video may hopefully make you feel a little less lonely in that, and just know that you're not alone in feeling any of these feelings. I am right there with you. It's okay to take a step back. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to prioritize what's best for you. If you feel like you're falling out of love with something, it's okay to analyze that and to try and diagnose why you're feeling that way, and know that there's a way to come back. There's a way to come back. Sometimes you just need to remove a certain element, and for me that was the documentation of the books I was reading. I just needed to allow myself to read without the external pressure. I'm hoping to kind of be back into reading vlogs again. I don't intend to record a reading vlog for the book I'm currently reading. I don't know what the next book I'm going to read is. No idea whatsoever. Hopefully, I will be in a bit of a better place to share it with you without feeling that pressure. Because, like I said, the whole reason I created the Slow Reader Diaries was to glorify and glamorize the non-pressure of reading. So I'm going to wrap up the video here because otherwise I'll be rambling for another 40 minutes and none of us need that. I really hope you did enjoy this little brain dump, this little ramble. Please let me know down below your thoughts on anything that I said in this video. And I'd also love to know what you're currently reading. And if you're enjoying it, I really hope you are. I hope it's giving you the 5-star feels. I just hope you're having the best time. And I also hope to see you in the next video, whatever that may be.